Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
The day you lost your virginity, how did you know you were losing it on that day? She lowered her vagina onto my dick and sat down on it and said, "There you go. Virginity gone." Quote, 10 out of 10, LMAO. Your sister is such an amazing person. She was good to me too. She's out there doing God's work in the streets. Sheets. She invited me over to her house while her dad was still at work, and said, "You should bring condoms." Was a pretty solid indication, so I still wasn't sure. When she answered the door with just a blanket wrapped around herself, I had some serious hopes, but she could have just been a nudist or something, yeah, I know. But when she told me to put a condom on, climbed on top of me and guided me in by hand. That's the moment I was like, holy shit, I think this chick is interested in me. 15 glorious seconds later, make it 10, dressing back up included. She threw her bikini bottoms at me in the pool. My trunks came off and I learned early that water is a terrible lubricant. 10 out of 10 though. Everyone loves the idea of shower sex until you have shower sex. One person gets all the warm water, the other person is just damp and cold, lol. I didn't. I was dating this girl when we were in high school. She wanted to wait, which was fine. I was happy with what we were doing and wasn't gonna push my luck. Her parents even told us they were okay with it and offered her the option of going on birth control. Still, she was like, "I wanna wait till I'm ready. Just because I'm on birth control doesn't mean I am." So I waited, and waited, and waited. Then about a year in, we were laying in bed watching TV and she said, "Thanks for not putting pressure on me to have sex all this time, but I think I'm ready." We talked about it for a bit, then we did it. I honestly couldn't have asked for better. Same here, dated a girl for 3 years. Well, we would get naked at times and do foreplay occasionally but never have sex. Or if it was escalating to that and she said no, I stopped and went back to de-escalating. Well, one day she just told me to put it in and guided it in. The de-escalating concept has me intrigued. The night before we did some hand stuff, then the next day was a Friday and we were going to go out with friends and she was going to sleep over for the first time, so I had a pretty good inclination. I see, so there was a solid progression. Sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't. For myself, she and her friends made the choice that she was going to sleep with me and she came to me basically naked. We had just been friends of friends before that night. Well, the insertion of the penis was a good clue. I couldn't get my penis to open up and accept the other penis. Did you remember to loosen your urethra with a series of girthier crayons inserted up in there? A shit ton of people knew it was actually happening the same day that I knew. The wedding was a pretty big indicator. Wait, everyone knew you all waited till marriage. I've never heard of people sharing that info. It's quite common, especially in evangelical circles. Didn't plan it. We were at her house watching a movie and I told myself to muster up the courage to make a move. So I did, kinda cute. Clues were there. We'd kissed a few times but never gone home to her place. She was a few years older and had an apartment that she'd lived in with her ex. Quite mature compared to me in every way. She even had a car. I had a bicycle and lived with my parents. She had asked another girl she knew that I'd dated whether I was any good in bed. Serious clue there. When she did take me home, sex was clearly on the agenda and she made it simple by performing a quick oral warm-up and then climbing on top. 10 out of 10 experience. Edit, all these upvotes sure show how Reddit loves stories that include sex, cold sweat, smile. A clarification, I was 19 and about as stupid as you get that age, she was mid-20s. Then I had to go home so I would be ready for kindergarten the next day. Quote, I had no idea, just knew it was the night that me and my friends would go out drinking, and we would stay over at my friend's house who I had unreturned feelings for. She knew it, and we shared a bed often. Anyway, we drank a lot, went back to hers and she asked me a question I was never saying no to. What happened between you two afterwards? Having sex kinda ruined the friendship, especially when she started dating someone else shortly afterwards. We still hung out for a while but she got less and less social. I remember having a New Year's party at her house at the end of that year and the plan was again for everyone to sleep over, but I was doing sofas by that point. Anyway, she went to bed about 10 p.m. leaving everyone else unsure what was going on, so we saw in the new year. Then since we had no blankets and she had locked herself in her room, we all just decided to walk home, which was about 15 miles. I don't think most of my close friends have any contact with her anymore. I sometimes feel bad about it, but it was all a part of the process which led to me being much more confident in myself and eventually getting married to someone who doesn't bail on the group. I had no idea I'd lose it that day. And in all honesty, I tried to stop it from happening, but my teenage brain and the pressure she put on me made me go through with it. Wasn't ideal, didn't last very long at all, and nothing happened with the girl afterwards. I think she was in a shitty place, wanted to feel better about herself, and knew I was really into her back then. Sorry you got pressured into it. Skeptical smiley face. Nobody should be. I got married. If it wasn't happening that day, it probably never was going to. How did you have the energy for it? My wife and I were too exhausted the day of the wedding to even think about it. We were both too drunk and exhausted. My husband was chucking up in the ensuite while I was wrestling with a million hairpins. Good times. After she got married, my friend said you can either fully enjoy your wedding day or you can fully enjoy your wedding night. Not both. I completely agree with her and have no regrets. It's not like we hadn't banged before or wouldn't again, but I very much doubt we'll get married again. Cocaine. I invited my, then, GF over to talk and eventually break up with her. We were way too different personality-wise and I didn't see the relationship going anywhere. So I brought her up to my room and talked to her about it on my bed, and to my surprise she agreed and took it really well. So well, in fact, she told me, okay, before we officially end I want to take your virginity. It happened, we laughed, and gracefully parted ways. Well, that's one way to end with a bang. I have to say this one is the most surprising one I've seen. You two must have had a lot of mutual respect. Extremely nervous, girlfriend's parents left for a span of 15 minutes and she was ready to go. I was not, but did it anyway. Not a good way to go about it. If you're not comfortable to lose your virginity in the moment, save that moment for later. Okay, sign. I'm sorry to hear that, but don't worry, it's almost impossible for a person's first time to be perfect. That's true, I had told her it was my first time afterwards as well. Just be real with your significant other, if they're right they'll understand. Sophomore finals and we got to take a 2-hour break. We went to my place and both my parents were at work. I made us some sandwiches to eat in my room. I get to my room with food in hand and she's buck naked on my bed. I have never dropped food so fast. Gentlemen, this is why you cook for your so. Trust me. I didn't. It was an absolute surprise. I'd been dating this girl a week, and we were fooling around when my mom was at work and we had the house to ourselves. Clothes started coming off, and eventually we wound up completely naked. Now, what I wanted to say was something like, hey, I'm a virgin, I'm not ready to go that far yet, but let's keep doing what we're doing and having fun, because I really like you. What I got was, hey, I'm a virgin, squat. There, not anymore. Quote, cut to 17 years old me, startled, fishmouthing in surprise. Then I got over it in about 5 seconds, and we just wound up fucking all night. Bro, I think you're a victim, lol. I haven't, because I never lose. Edit, I'm not a dude, just a closeted lesbian in the deep south. Girlfriend indicated it was going to happen that night. I was so scared of coming in 10 seconds that I jerked off twice that day. Wearing a rubber I couldn't feel a thing and it took 30 minutes. Felt like a god. Penetration for 30 minutes feels way too long for me personally. I've never understood the whole several-hour-long shag that a lot of men and even some women apparently enjoy. Sure, nobody wants a man to last only 2 minutes, but half an hour sounds like certain areas would start becoming sore from the repeated friction. Grimace. Girlfriend of 11 months with me, walking through college and see a safe sex display with a bowl of condoms and handouts about usage. She looks at the bowl, then me, then looked back at the bowl and tried to discreetly take one to put in her purse. And that's when you scooped another handful. I saved enough money. I pondered for months. But in the end I'd decided I'd do it with a prostitute. It was a long time ago, before the generalization of internet. I was driving in my car, checking prostitutes walking along the road. I was incredibly nervous and scared. After maybe 2 hours of driving, I chose to talk with this black discreet lady. I chose her because she was dressed in a normal way, she didn't scare me like the others. She was indeed really nice and patient. The sex in itself was not great, not because of her but because I was too nervous. Honestly, I didn't regret it one bit. It really changed the way I saw sex. I stopped sacralizing it. I know that sounds silly because I paid her, but I no longer felt sex was some distant and unattainable thing. It gave me a lot of confidence. After a while, I was able to approach women and have girlfriends. This came out kinda wholesome. He came and ended up confident. My best friend at the time, who was my boyfriend's sister, convinced me that we've been together long enough and it should be okay that we have sex. I was too scared to go through with it due to trauma, but she seriously helped me out. He's still one of the only guys I can say was fully trustworthy that I've met in my life. So his sister was telling you to fuck her brother. Sorry, that's a little weird, haha. LMAO, they were step siblings and best friends. It was more about her telling me that I'm okay to take control of my body versus, hey fuck my brother, but yeah I can see where you'd get that. I didn't know I was losing it on that day. But then later I mounted him and initiated things. I had a feeling beforehand this was the moment and the right time. And it ended up to be, first sexual partner at 26, second ever partner, and we're going almost 4 years strong and about to be engaged, slightly smiling face. It was my wedding day. Woman shrugging, light skin tone. I was 20. Married now for 14 years. Dang son, 34 is when you are supposed to get married. Ha ha ha, I know. But when you find your person you gotta go with it. He's my absolute best friend. We're in it forever. The conversation just led to it. Drama club friends in high school. This was before D&D got popular and I was one of the boys, because I played the game with the light and sound crew. We were all dweebs, and when everyone left at the night it was just me and the DM with his parents gone at a party, and we both talked about how we went through high school without bothering with it. So, we both decided to do it in the most unromantic way possible. It was the funniest, most awkward thing we both ever did, and we didn't even finish because we were busy laughing the entire time. It was fun, but we both decided that the experience and the, hooray, we did it, was enough for us both. We played D&D again like 2 days later, and 15 years later we still laugh about it despite him being happily married and me being a solitary art goblin.